Wednesday, September the 2nd. Lake level is right at 918. It only lacks about a foot of being at normal pool. And it looks like they've slowed the water down a little bit, but the lake's going down slower and slower each day, so I'm assuming they must be letting some water out of Beaver. But I'd say another 3-4 days we ought to be down to 917. Water temperatures right at anywhere from 77 to 82 to 83 degrees. It hasn't cooled down too much. It actually warmed back up this week. But a lot of different things going on with the fishing. Before I get into the fishing, Lou's over there at in Sportsman Factory Outlet, their new store opened up on, I think it's 3130 North Martin in Springfield. And they're having a grand opening ceremony September the 11th, which is a week from Friday, at 11 o'clock. They're going to have a bunch of blowout specials on a lot of product that when they move from one store to the next, stuff that they didn't put up on racks, and they're just going to have a bunch of good deals. So you get a chance, I'm sure they'll have some snacks for you. You need to get over there, check out their new store, and see what all they got on sale. But as far as fishing, most of the fish this past week I caught have been pretty shallow. Fished a tournament Saturday, finished out one place out of the money, and then Sunday I did the deal with the high school kids, and my kids finished third. And most of them fish were, all the fish, both days, Saturday and Sunday, were shallow. Saturday we went down by the dam. We fished Indian Point area. We hadn't been getting much pressure down there. I actually guided down there Friday and caught them pretty good, so we went down there in the tournament. Sunday I was way up in the James. But how I've been catching them is up until about 8 o'clock or so, they're biting a crankbait pretty good. I've been fishing main lake points, a lot of the same stuff you'd fish in the springtime. And crankbaits I've been throwing, been kind of mixing it up. It's been all crawdad patterns, been wiggleworts, Spro's new rock crawler, and I've also been throwing a Strike King 3XD. Now, like I say, it really doesn't matter on the color as long as they're, crawdad patterns. I've just kind of been mixing it up. I hadn't really been finding one that they're biting any better than the other. Also been getting a few on a, chartreuse and white chatterbait out at the edge of the bushes. Now, like I said, the water's dropping down every day, more and more out of the bushes. With the lake level at 917, it's 918 right now, but there'll still be quite a few bushes in the water down to 917. And we're fishing right on the edge of the bushes out to about 10 feet. And like I say, that's been early. When that slows down, we've been picking up a jig or a beaver style bait. And it seems like the jigs that have been working best for me got to have a little blue in them. There's some bluegill up in the bushes. I think the bass are feeding on some of them. But I've been throwing a 3/8 ounce Snowden jig, a Jewel finesse jig will work, a War Eagle jig, just a small profile jig with either like a Strike King Rage craw, Ultra Vibe Speed craw will work. Sometimes I've been swimming it, and other times I've just been flipping it into the bush, letting it go to bottom, make 1 or 2 pumps, pull it out, and make another flip. And another thing I'm mixing up along with the jig has been a beaver, Reaction Renovations, and I've also been throwing a Strike King structure bug and a biffle bug. And these as well, I'm trying to get a little blue and green and brown mixed in with them, but blue seems to be the ticket, whether it's in the beaver or in the jig. Now, I've heard of a lot of guys starting to catch them out deeper on structure, on a football jig and a drop shot. Now, I fished down lake today, and I checked several spots, several brush piles in that 25 to 35 foot area. We didn't have too much luck doing that. But we did catch quite a few fish the last 2 days. They were actually schooling out over deep water. And bait that seemed to work the best on them schooling fish, I could get them to slap at a spook, but they wouldn't really bite it. Pawpaw was working good. This one here is a Strike King. I think it's a Splash It. But like a Rico popper will work, a Pop-R, or even a Yellow Magic will work good. And most of these fish were out around deep boat docks, and they were in 50 to 60 foot of water at the ends of these docks. But some of the shad are moving back into creeks, and I found this in 2 or 3 different creeks in the centers of them where the shad were schooled up, and they were kind of busting them up on top up to about 9 o'clock. Now, when we weren't seeing anything visually on top, we were catching some on a swimming hornet and this little jewel, I think it's called a Spinax. But what I was doing was using a Swim Fluke Junior as a trailer, and we were mixing up the retriever, how far we was letting it go down. If we were seeing a lot of activity on the top, about the time the bait would hit the water, we'd just start reeling it, stop it for a second, and start your retrieve back up. Seems like a lot of the bites will come as you retrieve it. Another thing you can do is you can kind of cast it out there and pump it. Just kind of, pump it up, then reel the slack, let the bait go down. It kind of lets the bait yo-yo up and down. But you got to keep an eye on your electronics to try to figure out how deep the shad and the fish are. When the sun got up a little higher, up to about 9:30, 10, we were able to catch some fish in the same area out in the center of them creeks over them deep trees, about 25 to 28 feet deep on a drop shot over the deep timber around some of the docks. Another thing that also worked the last couple of days was a flutter spoon. Kind of fishing the flutter spoon the same way we were fishing the swimming hornet and the Spinax. And also I've been taking the flutter spoon and flipping it inside the shaded sides of the docks or the dock stalls. And I think you can probably get on some of them docks. We didn't do it today because we were having quite a bit of success on those baits there. I think you could also work in a little bit shallower and take either a 5/8 or a 1/2 ounce football jig, flip it in them boat stalls anywhere from 10 feet out to as deep as 25 to 30 and catch some fish. The shad seem to be moving some. I think the water's going to have to cool down a little bit more before we see a big influx of fish going back into the creeks, with the shad. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen when they shut the water down. It's still real hot, so we may get a thermocline set up about 25 foot or so, but normally this is the time of year that thermocline breaks up and the fish really start to scatter. I guess we don't have to worry about that now because the fish pretty much are scattered, but there just hasn't been a very consistent deep bite. But like I said, the last week or so, last 3 or 4 days, I have had more of a suspended bite over deeper structure than I have, throughout most of the summer. Still haven't got a very strong bottom bite going, but we are catching some Kentuckys and largemouth out there suspended. So I won't have a fishing report for you next week. I'll be at Fort Gibson fishing a tournament. So see you all in 2 weeks. Good luck, good fishing.